Hey, what's up YouTube, and welcome back to my channel, Ask Jimmy Smith, the channel where I answer your burning questions about e-commerce, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. Today, we're going to be diving into a topic that's essential for all of you Amazon FBA sellers out there. We're going to talk about how to recover money from Amazon when they mess up and lose or damage your inventory. Trust me, it's happened to the best of us numerous times, and I have been on the receiving end of many problematic issues with Amazon losing or damaging my inventory, basically on a daily basis. But don't worry, because I've got your back, and a lot of the resources in this video will help you tremendously. So by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to file a claim and recoup your losses. But before we get started, I am doing a contest on this video for one lucky winner. If you want to be entered in to win a copy of my Amazon best-selling book, Side Hustle to Full-Time Income, plus the free course and audiobook that comes with it, all you got to do is drop a comment below on today's video and make sure you hit the notification bell, because you want to tune into the next video to see if you won, since I'll put the winner of this one into the middle of that video. As you'll probably see, you will see a pop-up in the middle of this video announcing the winner from the last video. So now, as an Amazon FBA seller, you do rely on Amazon's fulfillment centers to store and ship your products, but sometimes things can go wrong and your inventory might get lost or damaged, and it's super frustrating. I know, as it not only affects your sales, but it also can hurt keyword rankings and customer reviews if your products aren't available for sale. So if you're doing private label or exclusive wholesale selling on Amazon, you're going to see these issues cause more damage than just the sales value that you may have lost during that time. But at least Amazon does offer reimbursements to sellers for these unfortunate mistakes of theirs. However, it can be a huge pain to deal with them yourself, which is why I have a service that I actually recommend using to recoup your lost money if you don't want to manage this process yourself. There's been over $100,000 of recovered funds with the legendary VA's account management service. Now, I highly recommend checking it out at askjimmysmith.com/AM. That link is below and in the description. Now, let's first cover the types of claims that you can file with Amazon. Depending on where your items were lost or damaged, there are different procedures to follow. So here are the four main types of Amazon FBA lost inventory claims. 1. Shipment to Amazon claims. If your products were lost or damaged during transit to Amazon's fulfillment centers, you currently have no later than 9 months after the verified date of shipment delivery to file a claim for this. So that is the first one. The second one is fulfillment center operations claims. And these claims are if your products were lost or damaged by an Amazon fulfillment center, or even a facility operated on behalf of Amazon. Ultimately, if the items were at an Amazon facility or one operated on behalf of Amazon, you can get covered. But you currently have 18 months to file a claim for these issues as well. Now, the third option is FBA customer returns claims. So if your inventory was lost, damaged, or not returned by a customer, that is when this applies. You technically can't file for one of these claims until after 60 days of the actual incident, and you must do it no later than 18 months after the refund or replacement in your Amazon account. So many times Amazon tries to handle these for you automatically, but it's still necessary to check, because there is money that Amazon owes you for these types of claims if you haven't been checking. And then the fourth one is actually removal claims. So if your items were lost or damaged by Amazon or a carrier used by Amazon while removing your inventory from a fulfillment center to your returns shipping address, that is when this applies. There are different parameters for when you can submit a claim on this one. So check into some of those rules, and I'm going to show you where you can do that here soon. But you must file within 18 months of the date the item was removed from the Amazon fulfillment network. So in the majority of cases, you have up to 18 months to file for these claims. There are different restrictions of when you can start filing for them, and some of them also have a shorter limitation and leash as well, as I mentioned. So let's go ahead and jump into some of the Amazon policy pages, because you can actually go there and learn a lot about each one of those four claims. You can see more about the reimbursement policy as a whole and some of the suggestions that they give too. And then I'm going to show you another article that I really like, that I'm going to go through their examples of how to file a couple of these different claims. Okay, so now we are in the Amazon Seller Central account here. It's just a dummy account essentially that I use for these types of things, so that way I don't accidentally share any pertinent information of my own. But ultimately, the FBA inventory reimbursement policy is here. So I will link this below in the description if you want to look through it. And you can see the 4 different types of claims that we just went through here. There's shipment to Amazon, fulfillment center operations, customer returns, and removals claims. It gives you information about the eligibility under this policy, the different things that have to happen. So all of the following must be true to be eligible for any kind of reimbursement from Amazon. So first, the item is registered in FBA at the time that it's lost or damaged. The item complies with the FBA product restrictions and with FBA inventory requirements. So if you send in a restricted product and it gets damaged, they aren't going to reimburse you for that. So that's just something to keep in mind. Obviously, it needs to fall within these restrictions. If you have sent us the exact items and quantities stated in your shipping plan, so that's why it's always pertinent for you to keep track of those things with receipts. And if you can, some of your shipping, the shipping information that you send to Amazon, you want to keep that as well. Whether it's through the shipping service that you utilize or something else. I know sellers that actually will have a camera that records every single item that they put in their box, just in case Amazon ever had an issue. They could actually prove legitimacy and that they sent those exact items and quantities. Also, you need the shipment for the item that is not in canceled or deleted status. You need to make sure that the item is not pending disposal or was not disposed of at your request or because we have exercised a right to dispose of it on their own terms. If the item is not defective and was not damaged by a customer for these particular refunds. And then when a lost or damaged item claim is filed under review and during any appeals, the seller's account must be in normal status. So you can't have your account at risk during the time that you're trying to file for these reimbursements. At least that's how I read it. Now, here's the 4 different claims. We're going to go through those briefly in just a minute, but also underneath the reimbursements, if we determine that your reimbursement claim is valid, we will replace the lost or damaged item with a new item of the same FN SKU, or we will reimburse you for it. So this one's interesting to me. They will do replacements for you, which I knew, but ultimately we're going for reimbursements, and that's what we're ultimately trying to get. If a reimbursement was made in error, keep this in mind as well, or if a reimbursed item is later found and returned to your inventory, Amazon reserves the right to reverse the reimbursement credit that was applied to your account. I've seen this happen before where Amazon accidentally will give you a reimbursement for way more than they should have, and they have in the future ended up pulling that back because they realized it was a mistake on their own terms. So it is something that is a risk that you have, but ultimately if they gave you the money and they pull it back later, hopefully you still have that money in the account, or at least in your Seller Central account have enough sales that would cover that over time. And then also they may dispose of any item for which they reimburse you under this policy, including by selling it. So as a result, such items, including lost items that are found after reimbursement, may be listed for sale on Amazon Warehouse or other channels. So if you've ever seen Amazon Warehouse as a seller, many times that could be from things like refunds and reimbursements that they already paid out to sellers. They found the items and just decided to sell them themselves. So it is something that is important for you to know. To me, it doesn't really matter if they've reimbursed me. They can do whatever they want if they find those items, but I still wanted to point that out. Now, this is how they calculate the reimbursement value. So the maximum reimbursement amount for a single unit of any FBA eligible item is $5,000. For items valued at more than $5,000, we recommend you consider buying third-party insurance. So most people watching this channel probably aren't dealing with that, but it is an interesting little caveat. If you were to sell some high-valued items, you would probably need some third-party insurance. And then it gives you how they calculate this value due to item price fluctuations. It may vary widely from seller to seller. They compare several price indicators to determine an estimated sale price for the item when calculating the reimbursement amount. They compare the following indicators. So here's the 4. The median price at which you have sold the items on Amazon over the last 18 months. So they're taking into consideration your pricing in that time period. The median price at which other sellers have sold the same item on Amazon over the last 18 months. So that is pretty smart on their behalf, because if you have an item listed at $100 and everybody else is listing it at $9 and you are getting $100 for each one, then they would be losing a lot of money money, and I could see people sending in things hoping that they'd get lost, just because Amazon does make mistakes. So it would make sense that they would take that into consideration as well. I don't like it as much. Hopefully, if you're a good seller following typical policies and practices, you're going to get pretty close to your own median price. Now, the current list price that you have set for the same item on Amazon, or the mean list price if you have multiple listings for the same item. So they will look at your current pricing as well as your median pricing, and then the current list price for the same item from other sellers on Amazon. So they take all of those factors into consideration. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky. If you're sending in something that maybe didn't have sales history before, they are going to, if they don't have enough information, calculate the estimated sale price of a unit using price indicators described above. They will assign an estimated sale price based on the price of a comparable product. And so if you do private label or wholesale, you might know that just because you have a competitor doesn't mean it's a comparable product. So that could be tricky. It could become problematic for you. This is why having someone like Jeff Schick at jeffschick.com to be your lawyer, he can actually contact Amazon's legal team and work things out with them if weird issues like this arise. So just keep that in mind. If you think that you would need some extra help, that's an extra service of Jeff Schick's. I don't get any reimbursement or anything from Jeff. I just really appreciate his service and highly recommend using him if you would like the legal help and representation, because this is another factor that he can help you with. They may ask for some additional information or documentation to help determine a value if there is no current value based on these other 4 indicators. And so essentially, if they elect to reimburse you for a shipment to Amazon claim, they will reimburse you for the estimated proceeds of a sale of that item. And so that is essentially the sale price of the item for which you're being reimbursed, minus the referral fees and the fulfillment fees. So if you sell it for $15 and they take out $7 for referral and fulfillment fees, you're going to be getting $8 back into your account. So keep that in mind. They also talk about customer return claims, how they will reimburse you for those, and the fulfillment center operations claim or a removals claim. It typically comes back to the estimated proceeds of the sale of that item. And then there's different caveats for these particular things, as well as if we elect to reimburse you for customer return, the value of reimbursement is based on the refund or replacement given to the customer on your FBA order. So because that money came out of your account, they will do it based off of the money that they gave to the customer. Now, individual pages, if you were to go back here at this main page, which is what I'll link in the description below, and you click through these different claims, it actually gives you information for the claim window, which we already briefly discussed. So this would be the shipment to Amazon claims. It also tells you the information that you need to submit a claim. So confirm that the contents and the number of units are the same in the shipping plan you created. Check the contents tab. And I'm going to give you an example here in a minute. Check your reimbursements report to see if you've already been reimbursed. And then it gives you information for how to submit this claim as well. So very simple process to follow. It does take some time though, and it takes some time to manage this. So you're going to want to stay on top of your inventory and your shipping plans. You're going to want to go back and look at these things on a regular basis, or assign them to a virtual assistant, or use the service that I recommended earlier. The next one for fulfillment center operations claim. Again, they tell you to check your inventory adjustments report, check your managed FBA inventory report, check your reimbursements report to see if you've already been reimbursed, and then submit your claim. In this case, you actually would have transaction IDs, and they can also investigate an item that was lost in the warehouse. So these are 2 ways that you can actually submit them from this sheet. So you'll be able to find that in the description and the links below. We've also got the returns for customer returns claims, the claim window, and how to submit your claim here based off check the FBA order reimbursement status. So if you have had a customer refund and you weren't automatically reimbursed for it, that's when you would want to submit a claim. But if you have had a customer refund, you check the status and find out that Amazon has refunded you for that return, then you don't need to open up a case for that. And then lastly, for the removals claims, you can see the claim window. You can also see before you submit a claim what you should be checking, and then the things to do to submit your claim. So after reviewing and reconciling the reports above, you can file a claim. When filing a claim for lost units, you must provide the following information and documents. And so there's a lot of different information here that you would need. If there's images that you can provide, shipping box, etc. And so, I highly recommend checking these out. I could technically do separate videos on each one of these, but I wanted to give you a quick example And the one that I really like is actually Jungle Scout. They've got an article on FBA seller refunds as well. So they've got an excellent step-by-step way to submit a shipment to Amazon claim. They go through two examples. One is a shipment to Amazon claim. And then the second one, I believe, let's go ahead and get here, a claim for lost or damaged items in Amazon's fulfillment center. So if you were to go to this article, again, it will be linked in the description below. If you'd like to see the step-by-steps, they give you those steps for make sure you review these things. If Amazon hasn't automatically reimbursed you, then you can submit a claim. And then in this case, they tell you, hey, in Seller Central, go to the inventory tab, click on shipments, you'll be taken to your shipping queue. So you follow these little links. These are step-by-steps. Personally, I would recommend taking this. You can make your own standard operating procedure with their images and with their little steps. And then if it ever changes in the future, you can change your standard operating procedure. This is a very nice guide. Highly recommend checking it out. And I would go through every one of these steps, but I think just submitting the link to you is a great way for you to go through it and not have to listen to me repeat everything that they're talking about here. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're maximizing your Amazon FBA seller refunds as much as possible. And there are a few different tips to keep in mind. One, you want to make sure to keep detailed records of your inventory and shipments. You want to store your receipts for arbitrage and your invoices for wholesale and private label in two places if possible, so they aren't lost, whether that's two places on the internet in a Google Drive. You can store them in a Google Drive or another cloud-based system. You can also have copies that are physical copies that you print out if they're online, or you actually just save the physical copy of the receipt in a folder. If you ever need them for reimbursements or account health issues, ultimately saving those receipts will help you a ton in these reimbursements or any account health issues that may crop up. I do recommend storing them by year, month, and store. So for example, it could be 2023, June, and Walmart, right? Or supplier, if it's 2023, June, and wholesale supplier. That is how I organize the receipts and invoices that I get from my business. And I also do that same thing with the physical copies. But definitely keep two different copies in two different places and make sure that you're constantly doing this. If you have a team that is shopping and sourcing for you for arbitrage, make sure one of their processes is uploading those receipts to your online filing system so that you can ultimately find those receipts when you need them for reimbursements or you need them for the account health issues. The second tip is to regularly review your FBA inventory reports to ensure everything is accounted for. As we discussed, Amazon gives a bunch of reports that you should be reviewing. So have that as like a weekly or monthly or however often you want thing for you to do so that you don't miss any of these opportunities for reimbursements, because Amazon owes thousands and thousands of dollars to a lot of sellers and potentially hundreds of thousands to some sellers. So make sure that you're staying on top of these things. The third thing is to follow Amazon's guidelines and requirements for FBA shipments. It's pretty obvious, but you want to make sure that you are sending in the shipments in the proper way and that you're always double checking the units that you're putting in there to ensure that you're sending the right amount and the right products in the right amount. And the fourth tip is to be proactive, identifying and filing these claims for lost or damaged inventory. So if you don't want to stay on top of that yourself, that's why I recommend my account management and reimbursement service, which I, as earlier mentioned, you can check out at askjimmysmith.com/AM. That's M as in Mary, or AM as in account management. You can see all of the services of the website there. Let me go ahead and pull up the screen, because it's not just reimbursements. It is also, if you want somebody to help you with stranded inventory, negative feedback, inventory adjustments, returns, refunds, reimbursements, suppressed listings, creating listings, etc. You can see all of the different options. This was in 2021. We had gotten up to $61,000 in refunds, and over the last 2 years, it's well over $100,000 now. And then here's the different pricing plans depending on what you want and the different service levels that you would like to use for your business. Some of the most experienced sellers would be on the contact us, but the highest is pretty good, but you get a ton of things like warehouse damages, missing in warehouse, destroyed items, stranded inventory, negative feedback, etc. And if you just want the reimbursements, there's a 25% of recovered amount option as well. So just make sure to check that out at legendaryvas.com/AM. Now, if you are a member of the Business Building Legends community that I recently purchased, you actually get a discount on some some of those pricing plans. And if you're in Legends, you're interested in checking it out, if you would like to see if that'd be a good fit for you as well. So there you have it, folks. Now you know how to recover money from Amazon when they mess up and lose or damage your inventory. Remember to follow the eligibility criteria, file the appropriate claims, and provide any necessary documentation. So by staying on top of these things, you're going to increase your chances of getting reimbursed. Also, don't forget that if you want to win a free copy of my book, Side Hustle to Full-Time Income, don't forget to drop a comment down below and tune into the next video to see if you are the lucky winner. Let me know your thoughts, questions, and experiences in the comments. And if you're interested in anything that I've talked about today, you can check out the description below for all the links for the articles and the instructions, as well as some of the services as well. So if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to Ask Jimmy Smith for more valuable tips and tricks. As always, leave any questions in the comments. And I hope that you enjoyed this video, that you have a great rest of your day and a blessed rest of your week.